everyone here. Okay. Happy New Year, and here we go for our first meeting of the year. Welcome to the North Shore Fire Department Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Tuesday, January 4th, 2022. First order of business is item 1, roll call.
Good evening, Commissioner Admin,
Here.
Commissioner Pratt,
Present.
Commissioner Byers,
Here.
Commissioner Webster,
Here.
Commissioner Woolham,
Here.
Chief Morris.
Present.
Hi. Our legal counsel Paxton, Lake Forest Park Council member Philippa Cassover.
Here.
Hi, Matt, I see you. And Kenmore Council member Nigel Herbig. I'm Board Secretary Amy Oakley. Thank you.
Okay, item number 2 is public comment. And we'll start with people that raise their hands. Okay.
Now we have one hand raised, and if you'll unmute yourself and introduce yourself, that would be great.
Hi, good evening, Stacy Valenzuela, Kenmore. Congrats to the new commissioners. Hope the board now changes gears and shows with actions the respect and care for our firefighters, residents, and city leaders instead of agenda of a few commissioners. I would also like to ask the question, and hopefully in a meeting soon you can answer. I do not understand and would like it explained why Woodinville Fire joining a service agreement was able to keep and transfer their spot on the board of the interest of the training onto Eastside when they signed a contract with Eastside. But if North Shore, whose training it is part of, joins a service contract, loses their vote completely if they sign a service contract with Eastside or Shoreline. It should be the same. They should be able to transfer to someone else, or Woodinville should not be able to keep their spot. It shouldn't be one gets one and one doesn't get anything. I'm also concerned, as I see a future problem, if Eastside has been through 4 training programs, and it kind of shows that they think their instruction is better, or they come to show others instead of to learn. Woodinville also had a few commissioners and firefighters that came forward stating that they were not happy with the transfer to Eastside. So I just wanted to bring up. And I wanted to also thank Shoreline and North Shore fire departments and EMTs for coming forward to Kenmore to hold a COVID booster clinic this Thursday. And we had to reschedule it from the previous date. So if anybody is needing a booster, we will have all 3 types of vaccinations there from 1 to 4 p.m. at Fire Station on 181st. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other? Okay, Commissioner Marin, or excuse me, you're not Commissioner. I see David Marin,
Oh, yes.
citizen. Okay,
Yes.
go ahead, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for your time. I served over 20 years as a North Shore Fire Commissioner. During that time, my primary focus was representing the best interests of the citizens of the district. King County Fire District 16, the North Shore Fire Department was created by the citizens for the benefit of the citizens and is paid for by the citizens. As elected fire commissioners, it's your duty to represent the best interests of the citizens. You are the only representation that people have in operation of the fire department. The North Shore Fire Labor Group has a variety of tools under state law and under their labor contract to ensure they have safe working conditions, the equipment, training needed to do their job, and that they receive fair and comparable compensation. The most significant challenge I see before the current board of fire commissioners today is the inherent conflicts of interest associated with the majority of the North Shore Board of Fire Commissioners. As of January 1st, 4 of the North Shore Fire Commissioners will have direct or strong ties to the Shoreline Firefighter Local and or the current IAFF labor group members. Union members, by their very definition of a union, stand with their fellow union members. Fire Commissioner Rick Admin is an active employee of the Shoreline Fire Department as a paramedic and has an active member of the Shoreline Local 1760. Per state law, Attorney General opinion, has already been determined to have a conflict of interest in deciding the contract for services agreement with the Shoreline Fire Department. He is not allowed to influence the selection process. Lisa Woolham is the wife of Todd Woolham, a Shoreline Fire Department employee, Division Chief of EMS. He supervises the King County Medic One program for the Shoreline Fire Department. He also has been a longtime member of Local 1760. I believe Commissioner Woolham could have an existing conflict of interest because of her household income relies on the compensation for her husband. Additionally, according to the North Shore Local 2459 Facebook post, Lisa continued to fight with us against the contract for Eastside Fire. It's difficult to see how a citizen can be fairly represented in the fire service contract decision when it seems her decision's already been made. Fire Commissioner Josh Pratt is a Kirkland firefighter and active member of International Association of Firefighters Local 2545. He has a very strong existing relationship with the North Shore Firefighter Local and has consistently supported Local 2459's requests and demands, sometimes speaking on behalf of the North Shore Firefighter Local. Tyler Bies is a Lacey Fire District 3 paramedic and active member of Lacey Fire District 3, IAFF Local 2903. While I have not heard Commissioner Byers personally state that he's opposed to a service contract with Eastside Fire and Rescue, the North Shore Firefighters Facebook pages, Tyler has fought with the labor group against Eastside Fire and Rescue contract options. My hope is that the board finds a way to put aside their inherited conflicts of interest, finds a way to balance the labor group's requests and demands with what is best long-term interest of the citizens. As a new board member of Fire Commissioners begins the first meeting of the year, you face an immediate challenge. The board's first test of their allegiance is who is the board elects as chair and vice chair of the body. I suggest that any board member that has an identified conflict of interest, whether remote or direct, would be ineligible to serve as a board chair or vice chair. The most significant issue before the board is the awarding of the fire service contract. By the very nature of these leadership positions, the board leadership will influence this process. I ask each of you as board commissioners to reflect on how you can uphold your duty to represent the best interests of the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other hands up? There's one, HH has his hand up. I don't know who that is.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I didn't see that. Okay, yeah, all right. I believe that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move on to item number 3 is oath of office. So we'll set that up. I believe that is for Mr. Paxton. You will administer the oath. And first up is Commissioner Lisa Woolham. And welcome aboard, new commissioners.
Well, thank you, Chair Webster, and congratulations, Commissioner Woolham. I'll just read the statement for you to repeat as your oath of office. I, Lisa Woolham,
I, Lisa Woolham,
having been duly elected to the office of King County Fire Protection District number 16,
to the office of King County Fire Protection District number 16,
Commissioner Position 5,
Commissioner Position 5,
do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of this office as prescribed by law and to the best of my ability,
and to the best of my ability,
and that I will support and maintain the Constitution of the State of Washington
the Constitution of the State of Washington
and of the United States of America.
and of the United States of America.
There you go. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great. All right. Next is Commissioner Tyler Byers.
All right. You've already been through this once, Commissioner Byers.
Yeah, we'll try to do it a little smoother, huh?
Yeah. I, Tyler Byers, having been duly elected to the office of King County Fire Protection District number 16,
King County Fire Protection District number 16,
Commissioner Position number 3,
Commissioner Position number 3,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of this office
discharge the duties of this office
prescribed by law
as prescribed by law
and to the best of my ability.
and to the best of my ability,
And I will support
and that I will support
and maintain
and maintain
the Constitution of the State of Washington
the Constitution of the State of Washington
and of the United States of America.
and of the United States of America.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, welcome on board. All right, so the next item is item number 4, approval of the agenda. So any comments, discussion? All right, can I get a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Can we get a second?
Second it.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Byers. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, we move to item 5, which is election of the board officers. First one is nominations for the board chair position. And, it's open for nominations here. Commissioner Admin,
I would like to nominate Josh Pratt for the board chair position.
is there a second on that?
Second that.
Any other nominations? Okay, so we'll put it up for election here. And, all right, so well, first of all, discussion. Do we have any discussion on this? All right, so, all right, put to a vote, all in favor of Josh becoming the chair, please say aye.
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 I'll go for it too, so it's unanimous. Josh, you now get to take over. Jump in.
All right. Thanks, Commissioner Webster. Okay, continuing on with the election of board officers. We'll now take nominations for vice chair.
I will nominate Eric Admin for vice chair.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a nomination that's been put forth and seconded. Any discussion?
I'd like to just speak up because I think on this one, just got to be real careful on your conflict of interest when we talk about the going forward with whether we go with shoreline or east side. That's very important, but otherwise I don't have any issues with it. So.
And I'll speak as well. I just want to clarify, there's been a couple people who've mentioned a conflict of interest, and I think our legal counsel has clarified that there is no conflict of interest. There's a defined thing called a limited interest, which is different than a conflict of interest. And certainly I will remain mindful of that limited interest.
Okay, anyone else comments or discussion? All right, hearing none, I will now put it to a vote. All in favor of Commissioner Admin as vice chair, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Byers, did you vote?
Aye. Yeah.
Any opposed?
Opposed, nay.
Okay, motion passes 4-1. All right, congratulations, Commissioner Admin. Okay, next up, item 6, we will be having an executive session Word Secretary, would you please read the language to dismiss us into executive session?
How long will this executive session be for?
Let's establish 15 minutes to start.
Okay, we are going to move into executive session for 15 minutes pursuant to RCW 42.30.1404 to discuss collective bargaining, also pursuant to RCW 42.30.1101G to discuss the performance of an employee, and pursuant to RCW 42.30.1101I to discuss potential litigation. It is 5:16. I'll need just a minute to set up the break room. So let's say we'll come back at 5:33 from executive session. I'll pause the recording now. Good evening. The board is extending the executive session by 15 minutes, so they will return at 5:47. Thank you. Good evening. The board has extended the executive session by 15 minutes. They'll return at 6:02. Is that right? Yes, 6:02. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
Good evening. The board has extended their executive session by 10 minutes, so they will return at 6:13. Thank you so much for your patience.
I'd like to welcome local 2449.
Okay, everyone, welcome back. Ms. Oakley, can we get that person silenced? Thank you. Okay, we're now going to move on to board discussion and possible action items. Item 7 on our agenda. The first is 7.1, conversation with local 2459. I understand that President Ingersoll isn't available, but is Vice President Ford here? Does the union have anything that they'd like to contribute?
Hello, this is Brian Ford, local 2459 Vice President. I just wanted to welcome new commissioners to the board, and we look forward to working with you in this new year. So appreciate the hard work.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ford. Moving on to 7.2, which is going to be our working session to evaluate contract for service proposals. At the outset of this, Commissioner Woolham has a statement that she's going to make.
So for the record, and just to clear up some legal issues, I want you guys to know that my husband is an employee of Shoreline Fire Department. And because of that, I do have a remote interest in any voting that has to do anything with Shoreline. Just for the record.
Thank you, Commissioner Woolham. So, yes, Commissioner Admin.
And I'll just reiterate for this discussion as well that I have a remote interest. I've been determined by our legal counsel to have a remote interest because I do work for Shoreline Fire Department. So as such, I won't participate in voting or discussion with regard to a contract for service with Shoreline Fire Department, nor attempt to influence my fellow commissioners on that contract.
Thank you, Commissioner Admin. And I'd just like to point out that Commissioner Woolham and Commissioner Admin, while they shouldn't contribute in a way that attempts to persuade, it is still important that they and can be involved to provide clarification, And so just no persuasive comments. All right. So as we have this discussion, I'd like to use our criteria for evaluation that we established at our September 7th meeting as a guideline. So if you would have those, commissioners, in front of you, please. And I'd like to suggest that we consolidate some of these items because many of the talking points will overlap. So as we look at these, 1A and 1B indicate what is in the best interest of citizens we serve and what is in the best interest of the stakeholders we serve. As part of the discussion on 1A and 1B, I'd like to add items 16 and 17, which are stakeholder response reviews and citizen response reviews, because I think those are very closely related. So what I'd like to do is just work through and allow people to, commissioners to contribute and provide information that they see as pertinent. And I guess we'll open up the discussion at this point. Commissioner Admin, you had your hand up.
I just wanted to clarify for anybody who's just listening or watching, there's that on the AV capture link to the meeting, there's links to all these documents, and that the document you're referencing right now is the document that's entitled Criteria for Evaluation of Proposed Contracts.
Also on the North Shore website as well. Okay. Commissioner Webster, Commissioner Byers. Sorry, Commissioner Webster, we can't hear you. You're muted.
So as far as I go, I can just start off with number one, criteria. And unfortunately, I tried to print this stuff out. It wouldn't come on my print, so I've got to pull it up on my other computer real quick. So I will be quiet for a minute, let somebody else jump in.
I guess I'll open, and I just like to say that we have two fine organizations, Eastside Fire and Shoreline, who've offered proposals that are going to suit or would suit our organization and the citizens that we serve very well. Both organizations have a very robust and storied history and provide excellent service to their citizens. Concerning numbers 16 and 17, the citizen response review and the stakeholder response review, we saw overwhelmingly from the city councils and from the citizens who chose to respond to our survey that they preferred keeping things as local as possible and recommended that we work with Shoreline Fire. But both organizations are capable of providing the service that we require. Any other thoughts or comments? Commissioner Webster, you're silenced again.
Yeah, I just I agree with you that everything you just said is straight up. So that's all I have on those comments.
Deputy Mayor Cassover, any input?
I think my input would be similar to that I've given in previous meetings, which is that in reading both proposals and in listening to both fire chiefs, my feeling is that the culture of the Shoreline Fire Department is probably closer to that of my community than what I heard from Eastside Fire or what I saw in their proposal. And I want to particularly commend the Shoreline Fire Department, which has been actually assisted in this by the North Shore Fire Department, in the good work that they've done during the pandemic in taking their part in helping with the public health outreach, and particularly with the vaccination clinics, and that the attitude of the Shoreline Fire Department, which again seems to me to reflect very much the attitude of the North Shore Fire Department, has been very focused on the good public health practices. And the honest truth is that I've not seen that same level of commitment to public health on the part of Eastside Fire. So I myself am far more comfortable with what I've been seeing from the Shoreline Fire Department when it comes to the public health outreach during the pandemic.
Thank you. Okay, with no further comments, we'll move on. Again, to streamline, I suggest that we combine item number 2, which is how will the contracting agencies treat the transfer of North Shore employees? Combine that with item number 15, which is the contracting agency's plan for organizational integration. So 2 and 15 together. How will they treat the transfer of employees? And what's the plan for organizational integration?
I can make a comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Webster.
Reading both proposals, I think that both Shoreline and Eastside have a plan for integration. Eastside has done it quite a bit with multiple agencies, so they definitely have a track record. But I think Shoreline has presented in their proposal a pretty organized plan. The only thing I did not understand is they talked some about whether they needed our admin staff or not, and that is a question that has to be negotiated later on down the line. But I believe that both organizations have strength and can deal with the integration. It's a matter of, I believe that North Shore, our board will have to negotiate the impacts. It'll be our responsibility to do the impacts to whichever agency we go to. So, thank you.
I'd just like to add that the Shoreline proposal seems to me to be more culturally sensitive and cooperative. They've expressed a willingness to take all or most of our employees, which was part of our initial scope of work, that every employee of the North Shore Fire Department moves over, where Eastside has no use or need for our office administrative staff. So it feels like it's been mentioned before that Shoreline is significantly more culturally similar to North Shore. And what I found in my research when I contacted other organizations that had been through this process is to not to underestimate the cultural challenges of combining two work groups that, it can present significant challenges and really hamstring the process and the integration of those work groups. So I think in that measure, Shoreline has a small advantage. Commissioner Byers, you have anything to contribute here? Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, I agree with what you're saying and how important it is that we recognize the employees and the impacts on them. I also agree with the fact that Shoreline probably is, in my view, a better option as far as integrating the cultures together.
All right. Any other comments? Okay, looking at number 3, clarify and evaluate risks and underlying assumptions. Commissioner Webster? You're muted.
Trying to click the button and my screen went away there. On that, I think that we have some issues. We know with reviewing the East Side contract, it's very straightforward. They've done this over and over again, so they have a real understanding of and set costs and a governance boards. But the only underlying risk that I see with Shoreline, and it's just something I see right now, is a clarification of their costs, because they haven't settled the contract yet. So we don't know what that cost is going to be. And I have no wish which way we're going to go here. I just want to bring up where I see some risks, and that is one that is a fairly substantial risk right now. And then also want to be real with the East Side. We know where some of our funding would be going, as far as our left one and all these different things. We need to make sure that if and when whatever happens, we make sure we negotiate correctly on that, on all the financial issues. So thank you.
I agree. I think that, getting to the governance model topic, that East Side's done this a number of times and has a long track record, and probably has an advantage in terms of organizing it, having the contracts set. Not that Shoreline doesn't have some experience in this, but East Side probably has an advantage there. Just to clarify, I understand that Shoreline Fire has finalized their contract, and it came in at the cost of living adjustment came in at 4%. So we should be able to have those rock solid numbers and be able to move forward. Okay, any other comments or questions under item number 3, underlying assumptions and risks?
I'll say on this one that just in reading the East Side contract, that I feel that they are superior in the fact of being able to forecast out and predict. They do have the experience in setting up these contracts. Also, though, on the Shoreline side of it, any questions that we have had, I feel like we've gotten great responses back from Shoreline, and they do appear that they're very willing to work with us and to figure out and work out all these loose ends.
All right, thank you. Okay. As part of this discussion, I think we should probably include item 12, which is the financial obligations history of budget and tax rate increases, and financial obligations history of revenue streams, 12A and B. Anything else to add there? I like, personally, I know it's been listed as a risk, but I see it as a strength, the diversity of Shoreline's revenue streams, and not being solely dependent on assessed valuation of real estate. Having those other revenue streams provides stability, and isn't to be feared from my perspective. Okay, I think that we've addressed number 4 as well. Prediction of costs over time, over the term of the contract. Anything, Commissioner Webster or Commissioner Byers, to add there? Okay. Item number 5, organizations providing equal or better service across all aspects of operation. And to this, I'd like to add number 6, the potential for continued service improvements. So equal or better service across all aspects of the operation, and potential for continued service improvements, 5 and 6. Commissioner Byers.
On this one, I really do like what Shoreline is proposing. I think adding a aid car for transport purposes is a service to our citizens that they have not seen yet, that they will appreciate. I think if you were to cross-staff the unit, which is something Eastside is offering up, that you end up with if they go run on an aid car that they end up transporting on, now you have zero coverage out of 57. And so you won't have another engine there to respond to a call. You're going to be waiting for a unit from Shoreline or from 51 to come in there. And so I think that having the extra aid unit there, adding the transport capabilities for our citizens is a great resource. And I really hope that that is something that we do look into do. The Eastside proposal doesn't have that option, and that gives me a little bit of pause. I don't love the idea of doing a cross-staff unit at that station just for the fact of taking a fire engine away from first responses in that area.
I like what you said there about adding an aid car down there. The one thing I want to make clear here, again, looking out for the citizens of Lake Forest Park and Kenmore, if we look at mutual aid, how many times we've pulled up into Shoreline and gone out to Bothell and what have you. If that aid car, I don't mind having it there. I think it's a great idea, but I don't know if North Shore should have to pay 100% of that. We should look at a percentage of how much use gets pulled up to Shoreline and how much gets used in our area. Cost issues there, and because of that, there's going to be added overtime and comp time. We got to, equal that cost out. That's looking out for our citizens. So that here again, this is a point that could be negotiated after we pick a contractor. So thank you.
I think that's an important point, Commissioner Webster. When looking at the mutual aid provided versus received, one of the reasons that North Shore provides significantly more mutual aid than they receive is because we are not a transport agency, and our aid car and engine are always in service if they're not directly on a call. So we don't have that out of service time that the other organizations have while they're transporting. All right. So once, if we become a transport organization, those mutual aids provided versus received will significantly balance out just by virtue of us having our aid car out of service transporting. Okay. Anything else there? Okay. Looking at number 7, expanded opportunities for firefighters and department members. I feel that both organizations provide tremendous opportunity. We're growing, providing for increased opportunity for driver operator, more promotional opportunities, more technical rescue skills. So I think both organizations are very strong there. Commissioner Byers?
I just make one comment on that. I do agree with you that as far as promotional opportunities on the fire side of things, they are there. With the Eastside proposal, we lose our ability to send our members to King County Medic 1. And so that the opportunity for our firefighters who serve our community to come back and work in our community as paramedics is lost. Eastside doesn't give us that opportunity with King County Medic 1.
And that's an important point, Commissioner Byers. So what you do is you eliminate 40 firefighters from the pool of potential shoreline medics, which dilutes that process. And it's a great opportunity for North Shore firefighters. And I know that down the line, it could potentially be worked out with Eastside Fire and Rescue, but it's not currently worked out with Woodinville. They don't have access to the Redmond Medic program anymore. And Eastside firefighters don't have access to the Bellevue Medic program either. So there's a proven track record there. And I don't see that being worked out anytime in the near future. Commissioner Webster, anything?
Yeah, on that same comment, there is a reason why Eastside doesn't do that, is that they lose that paramedic permanently. And so now they have to fill a position, they don't get them back. So, you know, it can impact the agency because you lose good people to your agency. They end up being a shoreline firefighter or paramedic versus the other. And they end up in the Medic One program. So it has pluses and minuses, but, you know, just wanted to point that out.
Deputy Mayor Cassover.
Yes, thank you. So I know a little bit about the Medic One program because of my past professional association, my past work at the University of Washington, and particularly in the medical field there. So having Medic One available to our community, whether, you know, from whatever source, if you see what I mean, is enormously valuable. We have an aging community in North King County, and Medic One provides services to those who have heart conditions and other life-limiting health issues. And I would be very concerned if we were to lose those services, no matter who they actually work for. But those services are very valuable to my community, and I hope we maintain them.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just a point of clarification. Regardless of which organization we move with, we will not be losing the services of the Medic One program. Simply, the North Shore firefighters who currently have an opportunity to test into the Medic One program that's administered by Shoreline Fire. If we were to contract with Eastside Fire and Rescue, North Shore firefighters wouldn't have that opportunity anymore. The Shoreline administration of the Medic One program, the current medic units that exist would still continue to exist and provide service. Does that make sense?
Yes, okay, thank you. That's a good clarification for me to understand. But I guess what I would say about that is, you know, every organization is somewhat dynamic in terms of its employees, and to have an organization that allows opportunity to employees seems to me to actually be a strength rather than a weakness. And so if we're bringing good people into North Shore because they have the opportunity to improve their professional abilities, that seems to me to be actually a good thing rather than a weakness. So I guess that's what I would have to say about that. But thank you for clarifying that Medic One, so valuable, so important for our community, will always be available to us. Thank you.
Commissioner Admin, do you have anything to add there? Clarification or otherwise?
Oh, I'll just say that I think so I'm a paramedic with Shoreline, just in case anybody didn't know that. And so we call that our ALS program, our Advanced Life Support Program. And our program certainly benefits from a bigger pool of people to choose from, because some programs actually have a hard time even mustering enough people who want to test out and go into that program. So we have, I don't know what the exact distribution is right now, but we have a large chunk of our current paramedics and members of that program actually did originate in North Shore. So I think having that continued ability to get people from that group of employees is definitely beneficial to the quality of the program overall.
Thank you. Commissioner Webster? Nothing? Okay. All right. Moving on. Number 8, confidence in the governance model. We touched on this already briefly, but anything else to add? Okay. Number 9, experience in providing contract services.
I think
Again, I was just going to state that, again, Eastside's had a ton of experience with this, I think 22 years of it. And Shoreline is not, and that's the only thing I'd say there. So if we select Shoreline, we need to really negotiate correctly. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Commissioner Byers?
I'll second what Commissioner Webster said. I think that it's pretty clear that Eastside does have extensive history in these contracted services. But I do have confidence that Shoreline would be able to meet all of our needs reasonably.
Okay. All right, excellent. Number 10.
If I could just, sorry, what
Please.
you talked about governance just a few minutes ago, and I didn't think quickly enough there. One concern that I think that many people in my community have about the idea that Eastside might become the contracting agency is how far away the headquarters of Eastside is. If whenever we might get back to meetings in person again, if community members wanted to attend meetings of their governing body, I'm not quite sure what it's called, if it's a commission also, but Shoreline obviously is much closer. And so for access to the meetings that are where governance and policy making occurs, we would much prefer a closer organization, and that would be Shoreline. So I think that's one of the real issues about the local control that my community has expressed.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Important to recognize that with either agency that the North Shore Board would continue to exist, and we would be involved in decision-making process and governance. And if it's Shoreline, we're 5 of 10, one of 2 boards. With Eastside would be one of, I think they've got 6 or 7 other agencies that contribute on their governing board. And we would be a contract agency and not officially part of the governing board, so would have very little input and say in their operations, but would be able to control what's happening directly in North Shore.
If I could ask a question about that. However, there must be some policy making that occurs on the part of the contracting agency that does affect the service in the area that we live in. And there would be an interest, would there not, on the part of the community members here in following that policy and commenting on it if indeed they have concerns?
Yes, absolutely. And not being a member of the organization itself, the nonprofit organization, we would have little input into those high-level governance decisions. Okay, anything else? All right, moving on. Satisfaction of current contract agencies, responsiveness to local needs. Anything to contribute here?
I can make a comment, Commissioner Webster. I believe that the responsiveness would be what was written in our contract. What we ask for is what they've got to respond to. And that's the advantage to contracting services, that we as a board set what we want, and the contracting agency needs to provide it. And our board would be there to make sure that we're getting what we're paying for. So, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Commissioner Byers?
I don't have anything to say on this one.
Okay. All right. Let's look at number 11, cost of service. I feel like this is fairly straightforward. We have the benefit of Tom Brochi having looked through this for us, and both agencies provide a significant savings over our current budget, approximately 2.6 million for Shoreline and a little over 2 million with Eastside at the bare bones. So it feels good to be able to provide the same level of service for a significantly reduced cost. Anything else? All right, thank you. We've already covered 12A and 12B. Let's look at 13, short-term impacts, similarities and differences of operations. Commissioner Byers?
This one, as far as the short-term impacts would be integrating the two workforces, and you're going to get, at least for a while until they work out in their positions at new fire stations, you're going to have a bunch of new employees coming in from Eastside Fire that haven't worked on North Shore Fire rigs or responded to calls in our district. With Shoreline, that's going to be a lot more seamless. They've already been running calls in our fire district for years. We've been running mutual aid with them. So I think that will be a initial significant thing. Also with their models of scene management, Eastside Fire currently uses different terminology in how they set up their operations than they do at Shoreline and North Shore. So these are, not things that can't be overcome, but they are some short-term impacts that will be smoother with Shoreline than they would be with Eastside.
Commissioner Webster, anything to add there? Okay. How about our final item, number 14, long-term impacts? I don't see anything significant. One thing to note is the difference in contract lengths, and if we are to be determined that we're unhappy with the contract, we're not exiting a contract with Eastside until the 10-year mark, where Shoreline has provided a 7-year out. So both long-term, and I recognize the importance of that to achieve those operational efficiencies and savings. But our initial scope of work asked for a 7-year out. Shoreline provided that, and Eastside's, and I understand why, that it's their standard operating procedure to have a 10-year contract, but it's different than what we asked for. Okay. Anything more on our criteria for evaluation? Final thoughts or comments? Okay. Thank you for your contributions. We'll move on then to item 7.3, which is discussion on fee for transport. And I think more broadly, whether or not we want the North Shore Fire Department, through whichever agency we contract with, to move to a transport agency. And what that means for people who might not be familiar is that currently, when the North Shore Fire Department responds to emergency medicine calls, if it's a basic life support issue, which means that the patient's life is not necessarily at risk, they are going to be transported to the hospital by a private ambulance and receive a bill from that private ambulance. In many of the other local agencies, Woodinville, for example, BLS patients are transported by the firefighters, by the fire department. For example, in Kirkland, in Bothell, Shoreline, they're transported by the fire department, but charged. Their insurance is charged. The citizen receives no fee and is not sent to collections if they're unable to pay that fee. Where a private ambulance company, there's the potential, if the citizen doesn't pay, to be sent to collections. So thoughts, feelings, is this something that we're interested in? Do we want to become a transport agency? Are we interested in moving to a fee for transport, which both contracting agencies do? Commissioner Byers.
As far as a service to our citizens, there's no doubt that providing transport is an incredible option to them. And if the only people that really understand how this all works is either if you've been involved in a transport or if you've worked in this sort of job. The ability to have someone show up at your door that's highly trained, and the training is controlled by us, the fire department, not by another entity like a private ambulance company, and have that continuity of care from someone showing up at your doorstep to dropping you off at the ER with the same people that showed up on scene. It's a huge benefit. And I can't trying to be smart with my words here. But I do think that is something that we should do for our citizens. I think it's a great benefit for them. And I also think that entering into Shoreline or East Side's model for billing is a good idea as well, to recoup some of the costs and having that aid unit being on call and out of service for longer periods of time.
Thank you. Commissioner Admin?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think just in our local area, North Shore has been a little bit of an outlier for the last period because of more utilization of private ambulance versus fire department transports. And I think that kind of stems from historically being a small department and not wanting to commit limited resources to being out of service for a longer period of time. So I think, in conjunction with adding some other resources and just acknowledging the fact that we send the closest unit these days, whether it's our unit, a Shoreline unit, a North Shore unit, a Kirkland unit, whatever's the closest units available is what's going to go to a person's home and take care of them. And I think, so I think, number one, I think this discussion of fee for transport does go hand in hand with the discussion of whether we want to be a transport agency. And that's something that I really also agree that I think we can provide the best quality service by being a transport agency. And I'll also just say with regard to a fee for transport, that's something that came around in the local fire service, I don't know, 20 years ago or something. And initially I was not in favor of it. But I think when you compare the cost and the billing process to an alternative of predominantly using private ambulance, I think the cost is lower. It's going to be less egregious for the citizen who has to deal with that billing process. And additionally, it provides the revenue stream that allows you to operate that transport vehicle to a degree. So I think it's kind of a win-win really to become a transport agency and to use a reasonable fee for transport policy.
Commissioner Wall?
I would say that, especially for the citizens of Kenmore and Lake Forest Park, I think that continuity of care, while it may not mean a lot on the labor side, it would be a huge impact on the person that's in pain or calling for whatever. For them to be able to speak to one person, tell their story, and that person has all of that information. It's not relayed several times, because I feel like it's sort of like a game of telephone. There's little things that are going to get missed here and there, and other people repeating your story, or you're having to tell it several times. So I think the citizens would appreciate that transport.
Thank you. Commissioner Webster, anything to add here? All right, thank you. So transitioning 7.4, discussion on aid car staffing levels. And this is in reference to what we want to do at Station 57. Is it a dedicated aid car versus a jump crew, which would be just adding an aid car where the 3 firefighters would respond in an aid car for an aid call and the engine for fire calls. But also, I think deciding what we'd like to do at Station 51, do we maintain the dedicated aid car there, or do we reduce down to peak hour aid car as Eastside has suggested for cost savings? So open up the floor for discussion on this.
I have a question before we start the discussion, and that is, could you define peak hour, please?
I believe peak hour is 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So those are the first 12 hours of the shift. Commissioner Byers?
A little bit on the peak hour thing. The majority of the calls come in that period of time. And so that's why there's less calls that happen from 8 p.m. till 8 in the morning. So having that unit there for the higher demand of time is the reason that they want that. Something that we do need to seriously consider is if we do go to transporting and we have that aid car out of service, if we're doing a cross-staff unit, we're not going to have anyone at that station to respond to calls in that first due area. And that's just the way that it is when you start transporting people and taking your units out of service for long periods of time. Also, if you have an aid car and a fire engine, it gives you the ability to have 2 in and 2 out. So you have a quicker ability to extinguish a fire or perform a rescue that otherwise you would have to wait for another unit to show up on scene before those items could be performed. So in adding an aid car, not only do we have the opportunity to provide our citizens with transport to the hospital, we have oversight on the people who are providing that transport. We also give the opportunity to have a better and faster fire response. So I think that it is something that we should look at really strongly.
I agree, Commissioner Byers, and not just, you address fires but also, rescues, car accidents, any major incident, having the additional staffing there is very important. And I think if you look at the responses in and out of Kirkland, for example, our mutual aid received versus given with Kirkland, one of the reasons that we go into Kirkland so infrequently is that at Station 25, the closest Kirkland station, there's both an engine and an aid car. So when the aid car is out transporting, there's an engine there available to run BLS aid calls. So that significantly reduces the number of times that we would need to go into that area to provide service. Okay, any other questions or comments? Commissioner Adams?
I'll just echo that I also see a benefit of adding a peak hour aid car. It gives more resources in that Lake Forest Park area, and it fits with the philosophy of becoming a transport agency.
Right. So to summarize, what I'm hearing on 7.3 and 7.4 is that yes, we want to transition to a transport agency and begin to implement a fee for transport with whichever agency we move towards, and also that we do have interest in a dedicated aid car at Station 57. Am I accurate in that?
Dedicated aid car, would that be the peak hour? Or would that be
Yes.
20? Yeah, okay. So clarified that. That's a big difference. Thank you.
Okay. Item 7.5, discussion on administrative staff. One of the main differences between the two contracts is whether or not our office administrative staff transitions to the new agency. Eastside is not interested in bring over, or has no need to bring over any of our office staff. And our initial scope of work requested that the contracting agency provide for all North Shore employees. So just want to get the temperature of the board and find out where we're at on this issue. My personal feeling is that I would prefer as many staff members as reasonable to make the transition. It may not be possible to bring everyone over, but I think that at minimum in the short term, we should endeavor to bring as many as possible. Commissioner Byers?
I'm going to agree with what you said. I also think that we should try to maintain as many of our administrative staff as we can. And then having some sort of presence there at Station 51. I think being a community fire department, it's important to have someone there that can answer the door, answer questions, and direct you in the right direction. And I do feel like we do have a great staff of employees. And if we have an opportunity to keep them on board, I think that we should try for it.
Commissioner Woolham and Commissioner Admin, I think that it would be appropriate for you guys to contribute here. Commissioner Woolham?
I also am with Commissioner Byers. I think it's really important to keep as many of those employees as possible. Like you said, maybe we can't bring them all, but I think whoever is willing to bring on the greater portion of them should have some consideration.
Yeah, and I agree philosophically with wanting to keep a presence at 51s and trying to keep our valuable employees.
Commissioner Webster?
Commissioner Webster here. Yeah, I agree that, if we can keep them on, if it's advantageous, that'd be great. And definitely keeping our presence at 51 is important. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Cassover?
Yes, thank you. And I just, I'm not as aware of all of the acronyms and everything as you are. I take it Station 51 is the one in Kenmore where the headquarters is now?
That's
Yes.
correct.
Okay. Well, I just like to point out that has been a very valuable community resource, that facility. My own council has held retreats there, and having staff there able to, as Commissioner Byers said, open the door and show us where to go and, make sure things are set up for us and everything. It's a great community resource, and I would be very sad if we lost it. So yes, I would be very supportive of you being able to keep on the administrative staff and keep Station 51 as the community resource as it is today.
Thank you. Okay. Any other comments, questions, concerns, discussion on administrative staff? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Item number 8 on our agenda, board resolutions. Don't believe we have any. Item number 9, our consent agenda.
Make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there a second? All right.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Wong. Any discussion? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, I can't. If you can unmute and vote, that'd be great.
Aye.
Commissioner Admin?
I thought I said aye.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. It's unanimous. All right. Item 10, reports. Fire Chief's report. Chief Morris.
Yeah, thank you. You've all received the Fire Chief's report. I have 2 things to add, changes since you received that. We've had 7 individuals test positive, employees here at the department. Following recommended guidelines, 5 of them have already gone through their quarantine and they're back to work. We have, which remains 2 remaining out. So after another week or so, they'll be back to work, and hopefully things will calm down a bit. As many agencies are feeling all around us, staffing is being impacted greatly by all of this. So just wanted to make that correction to the chief's report. The other thing is a training note. On January 3rd, the fire chiefs received a letter, fire chiefs participating in North King County Training Consortium. I just want to make you aware of it, and I'm going to read it so I get the language correct. This was from Eastside Fire. Please accept this letter as Eastside Fire and Rescue's intent to withdraw from North King County Training Consortium interlocal agreement effective January 1, 2023. As discussed, and this is coming from Chief Clark, as I discussed at our December 6th, 2021 meeting, this withdrawal will only occur should the consortium not come to agreement on how to incorporate all of Eastside Fire and Rescue, the City of Kirkland Fire Department, and other agencies who currently run extensive automatic aid calls with Eastside Fire and Rescue, should these agencies also choose to join the North King County Training Consortium. Eastside Fire remains committed to everything we agreed to in the co-signed letter dated December 21, 2021. This letter simply fulfills our contractual obligation of withdrawal notice should we not be able to come to agreement prior to January 1, 2023. So as if you're not aware, the ILA that we have all signed, all member agencies of North King County Training Consortium, if you want to withdraw, you need to give written notification 1 year in advance. So they are doing that, and that's what this is. My take is that they fully want to participate, and they want, as the co-signed letter states, they want the North King County Training Consortium to grow and meet their needs, completely understand, and the needs of, it sounds like, any agency that wants to participate and that serves them with automatic and mutual aid. So I just wanted to update you on that. That letter was received by all participating agencies on January 3rd. And other than that, if there's questions, I'm open.
Chief Morris, I noticed that the letter dated December 21st that indicated that Eastside would be joining the North King County Training Consortium starting January of 2023. Wasn't signed by Chief McDonald or Chief Cowan. Can you comment on that?
So my understanding is that it has been signed by all 4 fire chiefs at the time, Interim Fire Chief McDonald.
All right. Anything else, Chief Morris?
No, you have everything else. If there's no other questions, that's it.
Questions from the commissioners? Okay, hearing none.
I just wanted to clarify one thing on that prior letter from the East Side.
Yes.
Essentially, my understanding of that prior letter from East Side was that they were essentially saying they were going to continue their involvement with the same level of staffing as is right now, with a view to maybe making a change. If they're going to make any changes, they would be January 1, 2023. Is that consistent with your interpretation of that prior letter?
That is correct. 2022 is set, and Eastside Fire's involvement will correspond with the personnel assigned to the former Woodinville fire stations. So that number is set for 2022, and the plan for 2022 is to carry on with no changes. They appear to just be planning for 2023.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Chief Morris. Commissioner reports. Commissioner Admin.
I just have one report, which is that I was in communication with regard to our time frame of part of our process here was to meet with, report to, and get feedback from our cities. And so I'd been in communication with Deputy Mayor Nigel Herbig, who's one of our advisory members, as well as Deputy Mayor Philippa Cassover. And so we now have dates for both those. So the date for our meeting and presentation with Kenmore is on January the 10th. And I clarified via text with Deputy Mayor Cassover the date that she reported on at the beginning of this meeting. We're going to be presenting to Lake Forest Park City Council Committee of the Whole on Monday, January 24th. And is that a 6 p.m. start?
Yes, it is.
I'm sorry, is it the 24th or the 23rd? Thought I initially, Deputy Mayor said the 23rd.
That's a Sunday. I think she just misspoke.
Yes,
So
yes. Sorry about that. Yes, 24th. Yeah, and the committee, our committee of the whole meeting is the council meeting where the council meets and conducts its own meeting, and it's somewhat more informal and so allows for good give and take and questions.
Deputy Mayor, is there a time limit that you'd like us to adhere to during that for that presentation?
No, I don't have a time limit. We don't yet have a defined agenda for that meeting, so I would hope that 20 minutes probably would work for you guys, would it?
Sure. Yep.
More specifically requested that it be brief, like about a 10-minute presentation with some additional time for questions and answers.
Yes, I think that would work fine.
Okay, any other commissioner reports? Commissioner Webster?
I just have a question now. Who's set up to do this presentation? Who's doing this? Which committee?
As the chair, I'd like to be involved. Is there someone who would be interested in joining?
I would be willing to go along as well, if the other commissioners were okay with that.
I'm working on the 26th, so there's a potential that I could go, but it'd probably be better if Commissioner Admin had full availability for it.
Commissioner Webster?
Okay, so I'll go in a backup role.
Okay. Everybody good with that?
Have that clarified because somebody's got to do the presentation. So thank you. Being the chair, that usually helps.
All right. Legal counsel, any reports?
Nothing to report today.
Okay. All right. Future agenda items for our next regular meeting scheduled for January 18th. What do we have so far?
Yes, for the January 18th meeting, some items that were held over from our previous meeting was a discussion of administrative activity items that are not covered under the contract for service, an update from the subcommittee on new commissioner training. And that's all that I had.
Based on our newly adopted timeline, I believe that the 18th has also been established as an open house for community input.
So I should probably work with Wendy Booth on publicizing that as an open house on social media. And maybe that's the first part of the meeting, if you recommend.
Yeah, that makes the most sense, I believe. Commissioner Webster?
Yeah, maybe I have the older timeline. I thought we had February 1st as the open house. Did we move that up a week or meeting?
Yeah, based on our last timeline, we moved that up. February 1st, I believe, is set for us making our decision and informing the contract agency formally.
Thank you.
Commissioner Admin?
I'm backing up a step to commissioner reports, I just wanted to report that I worked together with Commissioner Woolham, and we evaluated the new fire commissioner orientation checklist and added some items and made some updates to that. And so that document will be sent out for the next meeting. And I just also wanted to report, it's not really my report, maybe those commissioners who are attending, that there are some commissioners who are going to be attending some new commissioner training coming up.
Yes, that'll be January 8th, and we can report out on the results of that. Also, kind of an outstanding issue, the parliamentary procedure training. Commissioner Admin, you had some contacts. Maybe you could provide a report on the 18th.
Yeah, I will follow up with that. Oh, actually, that's right. That was going to be in the context of our discussion. I guess what we'll do is at that meeting, we'll discuss, I guess we could either, at that meeting, we'll discuss, assuming that we want to move forward with that training. I'll make some contacts with the assumption that we might want to do that. At that meeting, we can make a decision if we want to have board members participate in that parliamentary procedure training. And we can take action on that as well. Someone just also messaged me back. I'm sorry, we're jumping around here. Lisa had her hand up, and then I've got something regarding the upcoming agenda.
Commissioner Woolham?
My question was,
You're silenced.
okay, so my question was already answered, so we're good.
Right. Commissioner Admin?
Regard to the upcoming agendas, somebody pointed out that our meeting time on the 18th, if it's a public, if our goal is to be a public meeting, it might be ideal to have it be later than 5 p.m. because that's, kind of maybe still in some people's work day, or it's not an ideal time. We might want to have that portion of our meeting be later or start later.
Good point. If I can comment, I think
Please.
that we have it later in the meeting and get our business done first, and then set up the open house for later in the meeting. That'd be my option. Thank you.
So maybe we start at like 6:30 and then have the open house portion start at 7. I don't know if that would give us enough time, or we could start at 6 and have the open house portion start at 7. That's just, I'm just throwing that out there.
Is that consistent with your perspective there, Commissioner Webster, or are you saying start at 5 and then maybe have the open house at 6?
That's what I was thinking. Keep our meeting time at 5, our standard meeting time. It takes us at least an hour to get through our business, and then open up the open house at 6, or take a short break and set up for 6:15, something like that.
Sure.
Because
why don't we do that? Why don't we start at our normal time at 5, get our district business done, and then set like a 6:15 open house. Does that work?
Yes, I like that.
Okay.
Person who's been messaging me, who is, I'm not sure who, their LFP resident on the chat is recommending a 7 meeting, but I'm not sure who that is. I don't know if Deputy Mayor Cassover, when you do a public meeting, do you have a standard that you guys try to follow just from a time standpoint?
Our general meetings start at 7. The only meetings that we hold that start us at 6 are our work sessions and the committee of the whole. So if we have a public hearing, it always starts at 7.
Yeah, and actually just the whole topic of our meeting start time, not to get on a whole nother topic, but that's been something we've brought up in the past, just in terms of being really accessible to people and not holding our meetings in the middle of people's non-retired people or people with a regular schedule, their work day.
Well, I'm I'm comfortable with starting at 6 and having the open house at 7, unless there's objection from majority of the commissioners.
I think that'd be fine.
Thank you.
Okay, let's do that. Let's have the meeting time changed to 6 for district business, and then open house at 7. Commissioner Paxton, or Mr. Paxton.
So procedurally, the way this should be accomplished, because that meeting is a regular meeting, our regular meeting is set for 5 p.m. What should happen is there should be a cancellation notice for that regular meeting, and then a special meeting notice to begin at 6 p.m. And then we'll put the items on the agenda so that people know not to attend the regular meeting that is usually at 5, and we'll have the special meeting then at 6.
Thank you. Is Oakley tracking all this?
I am.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else in terms of setting meeting agenda? All right. Entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. We are adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, everybody.